Awaken the Giant Within by Anthony Robbins. There is a giant potential inside of you, however, it is sleeping. And this huge inner potential is your ability to become someone who could do more and do better, someone who could achieve great things. Now imagine if you had the ability to wake up your inner giant and take control of everything in your life. This is the idea of the book Awaken the Giant Within by Anthony Robbins, one of the leading experts on personal development. And in today's Arata Academy summary, we will get to the main ideas of this book in detail, so you can have a practical strategy to wake up that improved version of yourself if you want to. And the first step to wake up your potential is to simply decide to do so. The path to achieving power is made from good decisions. Deciding is cutting off any other chance. By the way, the word decision comes from the Latin word decidere, which means to determine, define, decide. The word decidere is made out of the prefix di, which means out, and cadere, which means cut. So deciding means cutting off any other chance. The first step to waking up your maximum potential is to decide to do so. You have to cut off any activity that won't help you to become the best version of yourself. You probably know what to do in order to be successful. You need to eat correctly and do exercise and sleep well if you want to be healthier. You need to earn more than what you spend and invest the difference every single month if you want to be wealthier. And you know that in order to stand out in your career, you need to study more, to devote yourself to it, and create good relationships. The thing that stops most people from achieving great goals is not that they don't know what to do. It is that they don't do what they know. The things you know don't matter. What matters is what you do with the things that you know. And this is why you should start with a commitment. You have to leave out everything else. You have to decide once and for all to be the best version of yourself. And once you take this decision, you have to take control of your emotions, your physical condition, your professional, your personal relationships, your time, and your money. And all of this will be possible once you take action. But in order to take action, you need to decide first. The decision you have to make is your commitment to discard anything other than taking control of these areas to intentionally guide your life to the destination you desire. It is at this moment of decision that your future will be set. This makes a lot of sense from a rational point of view. Maybe you already even knew about this, but you're still not able to act with consistency to solve your problems, to achieve your goals. And why does that happen? Because we are not ruled by reason, we're ruled by emotions. And simply understanding your problems rationally won't be of much help. Your inner giant has to be woken up by emotions. Why are there times in your life when you act the way you wanted to, but some other times you don't? Why is it that sometimes you feel inspired, you toughen up, you do what needs to be done, and you reap the results, but there are all the times when you're feeling lazy, you make up excuses, and then you give up? The answer is what we're going to be calling here emotions. That could be seen as our mental conditioning model. It is stored in our limbic system. In short words, it is the way our brain is used to see and react to external stimuli. We like to think that we are ruled by the neocortex, the area in our brain that is in charge of reason, but sadly, that is not true. We are not purely logical. If we would be ruled by reason, I don't think there would be people who would be smoking or eating unhealthy food or hurting other people or who would be procrastinating. The truth is that most of the decisions we take are ruled by emotions. The emotion comes first, and only then, later, comes the reasoning, and therefore the logic. There are several emotions that affect our behavior. We'll focus on two of them, pleasure and pain, which are the emotions more linked to your action or inaction. Pleasure and pain are two forces that shape your life. You can achieve any goal once you learn how to balance pleasure and pain. And everything you do ultimately is a search to avoid pain and to seek pleasure. Exactly in this order. First we avoid pain and then we seek pleasure. Sometimes this search happens consciously, but most of the time these two forces act unconsciously. Unconsciously or not, every time we do something, we're calculating whether it will give us more pain or more pleasure. If we think that we will get more pain, we avoid that action. But if we think that we will receive more pleasure, we act, we take action. For example, you have to study so you can have better options in your life, either as a student or as a professional. But sometimes you stop studying because you want to avoid the pain of having to grab a book and focus on it and spend hours trying to learn something. Instead of that, you seek pleasure from a video game or checking social media or from watching a movie or TV. And when the day of the exam gets closer, the situation changes. Now the pain of getting a bad grade is more clear, the pain of failing, of looking bad in front of your family and friends. The day before the test, this potential pain motivates us to finally face the books and put the pleasure aside. So in examples like this one, you're always thinking about the short term. And when we try to avoid short-term pain, we almost always end up choosing and acting in a way that creates even more pain in the long term. When you replace what you should be doing for what you want to be doing, you're avoiding pain, you're seeking pleasure, and this is a very short-sighted point of view. You eat a pastry instead of salad because it is more tasty, because it will make you feel good now. But if you would think about the long term, you would see that this replacement would make you feel even more pain than pleasure in the future. By thinking about the long term, you're going to be able to see more clearly what's going to make you suffer and what's really going to give you pleasure. And when you handle these two forces, you're going to be able to make better choices. And this handling can be done with the power of associations. Manipulate the balance between pain and pleasure in your favor using the power of associations. In order to make better choices, you have to manipulate the balance between pain and pleasure so you can have a clearer idea about the long-term benefits. And this can be done if you're able to influence your brain, associating pleasure to the activities, to the actions that will help you to achieve your goals. And if you're able to associate pleasure with exercising regularly, to eating healthy, sleeping well, you will never have issues when trying to get fit and achieve total health. If you link pleasure to the act of saving up, investing, studying about finances, you will never struggle to save enough money again. If you link pleasure to spending hours reading a book and learning new things, you will never struggle to develop yourself as a person or as a professional. The only thing that is stopping you from doing the necessary things to transform your life is that you associate more pain than pleasure with doing something right now, something important. If you associate with it more pleasure than pain, you would automatically do what needs to be done. And in order to change your associations, you need to change your beliefs. And by changing your belief, you're going to be able to create different versions of the same event in your life. That is reframing. Check Hello, Say Arata series, episode number 22, where we're going to be talking about reframing, reinterpreting a specific situation. Everything you believe is based on an experience you've had, in something that someone told you about, or something that you read, or lived, or heard. And many of these beliefs can be changed. Your brain cares less about the fact itself than the interpretation that you make about the fact. For example, if someone told you you were stupid and lazy when you were a kid, this comment might be rooted in your brain. You might still believe that you were usually stupid and lazy. Whether that is true or not, you can change this belief. You can reinterpret this and any other fact in a more positive way. Associate pleasure with things you have to do. Associate pain with things you want to stop doing. Now that you've understood the relationship, the importance of the relationship between pain and pleasure when you are making your decisions, let's now take a practical attitude. Let's associate pleasure with the activities that need to be done in order for you to become who you want to become. And let's also associate pain with the activities that you want to stop doing. For example, let's imagine again if you want to become a healthier person. Thinking about exercising in half an hour might be something painful for those who only think about the physical exhaustion, the suffering of exercising. At the same time, doing exercise can be a pleasant activity, even a desired one, by people who want to stay healthy over the years. We're talking about doing the same thing objectively. Doing exercise, but it completely changes the meaning of the person focusing on the short term or on the long term. But what if the people who only focus on the negative aspects of exercise choose to change that belief? What will happen if those people, instead of focusing on the exhaustion and the suffering, what if they thought about the possibility of becoming hospitalized with intensive care when they're older? Which of the two evils is heavier enough to tip the balance in favor of the immediate action? You can change your beliefs. You can modify the division between pain and pleasure by doing this type of association. Success or failure will depend on the things you associate with pain and pleasure. If you associate more pain than pleasure with doing something, you will always avoid that thing. The same happens if you associate more pleasure than pain with something else. You will want to do it. And this is why you should always link pleasure to the things that you have to do, that have to be done in order for you to achieve your goals. And also should link pain to the things that keep you away from your main goals. This is what is called neuro-associative conditioning. The idea is to link intense pleasure to anything you want to do in your life, and also to associate unbearable pain with anything that you want to avoid. The activities you associate pleasure with will depend on your life plan. Just don't let anybody tell you what your goals are. Now that you know how to associate pleasure with the things you have to do, and pain with the ones you shouldn't be doing anymore, the question is, which activities are those? Well, there is no right answer to this question because all those activities depend on your life plan. For example, someone who wants to become a professor, live a family life, and have painting as a hobby will do very different activities than someone who wants to become a professional athlete, live in another country, and learn several languages. Therefore, before associating pain and pleasure with anything, you have to be clear about what you really want to do. Then, try to understand what is stopping you from achieving those goals. And once you understand that, stop those patterns of thought and behavior. Imagine things differently, reinterpreting the facts in an exaggerated or funny way to see if your reaction matters more than the facts themselves. And after that, repeatedly associate pleasure with the activities that will help you to achieve your specific goals. Associate pain with the things that will make you stay away from those goals. In the example of the person who wants to become a well-known university professor, finding pleasure in studying and researching and teaching is a must. It is necessary to stay away from activities that take too much time or give back poor results like video games and procrastination and social media. We're not always in a mood to do all those things. That is why it is important to also learn how to control our emotional states. And you can control your emotional states with your body and with your mind. When you're not feeling motivated to become the best version of yourself, you can change your emotional state in two ways. The first way is through your body. If you correct your posture, doing what we call power poses, you can feel more motivated to do what needs to be done. And this usually involves pulling your shoulders back, sitting up straight, puffing your chest a little bit, and facing forward. The second way is changing your emotional states with your mind. If you want to feel a specific way, start acting as you already felt that way. Like the saying goes, fake it until you make it. In order for this to work, you should focus on what you want. If you want to feel excited, try to act in a cheerful way. If you want to feel focused, try to act like you're already focused. You can change several of your emotions using these two methods. On episode 154 of the Hello, Say Arata series, we deeply analyze the idea of power posing. To achieve your goals, you have to ask good questions. Questions are the answer to any problem. Our brain is like an answering machine. Almost everything that we do is based on questions, even if they are indirect questions. The way we ask these questions and the words we use heavily influence the answer that we get, and as a consequence, they influence also the way we act. For example, think about the day when you are in a negative emotional state. In days like those, you ask yourself, why does this always happen to me? Why am I depressed? Notice how dangerous these questions are because they always have a negative connotation. You're already assuming that bad things are routinely happen to you. This kind of assumption makes us accept facts that might or might not be true. Your mind will always look for an answer to the question that you are asking. Also notice the strong words that are being used. Do you really have depression? If you changed the word depression for something like a bit sad, would that change your emotional state? The words you use have a lot of power over how you feel because words will affect you how you communicate with yourself. For example, if you keep saying that you hate something, how much hate are you bringing into your life? Wouldn't it be better to say that something like I dislike this or I prefer something else? You can improve the quality of your vocabulary by carefully choosing the words you use, especially in your inner conversations, in these talks that you have with yourself inside of your mind. The idea is to soften the words that bring negative emotions, and at the same time emphasize the words that bring positive emotions. And besides that, you need to learn how to ask better questions. There are 10 questions that can solve any problem, and you can use those questions to change your emotional state. Practically, your whole existence is based on questions. You just need to pay attention. Your alarm clock rings early in the morning, then you ask yourself, should I wake up or should I snooze it and sleep another 5 minutes? You feel hungry. Should I eat a fruit salad or should I eat some toasts? Then you have 1 hour off. Should I read a book? Should I go through social media? For every question that you ask, your brain will look for an answer which will be based on your experiences and references. And these answers don't necessarily have a solid foundation. The answers are just stories in our mind that depend on our emotional state at the time that we're answering them. Those questions change your emotional state, allowing you to take action or continue doing nothing. Action is what creates results, and not the fact of asking questions or asking for things or attracting things. You need to substitute questions that sabotage you for questions that bring you power. And this is how you will be able to change the perception of who you are and what you're able to do. So I mentioned there are 10 questions that help you to solve any problem by changing your emotional state into a more positive one and allowing your mind to create solutions. You can write these questions down so you can use them whenever you're facing a problem. And question number 1 is, what is so big about this problem? Number 2, what is not perfect yet? Number 3, what am I willing to do to make it the way I want? Number 4, what am I willing not to do anymore to make it become the way I want? Number 5, how can I enjoy the journey of doing the necessary things until I make it the way I want? Number 6, what is so important about it? 7, what am I looking for? 8, how can I reverse the situation? 9, how can I take advantage of this situation? And number 10, what can I learn from this problem? Besides solving problems, these 10 questions can help you control your emotional states. After all, in order to take control of everything in your life, you need to understand that you're able to create your own emotions. Create your own emotions. You have the power to awaken the giant within. Within yourself, you have the power to create any emotion you want. So the best thing you can do is to focus on creating positive emotions. Feelings like love and gratitude and curiosity, enthusiasm and determination, flexibility, confidence, and joy. To intentionally create those emotions, first you have to ask yourself, what are you feeling right now? Do you have rational reasons to feel like that? Or has your current emotional state no apparent reason to feel like that? Even if you're feeling down, the simple fact of reflecting and clarifying your current emotional state will help to decrease the intensity of these negative feelings. And once you identify your current emotional state, you can think about which positive emotion could help you more. Do you need more love and gratitude or joy? Or do you need to have more enthusiasm, determination, confidence? When you clearly know which is the most important emotion at the time, then you can start acting as if you already had achieved your desired emotional state. And the emotion will follow your action. You might feel a little bit weird at the beginning, but you'll get used to it and you see how good it is to not be needing to wait for the right emotion to come in order for you to act. You can choose to take action first, and then the emotion will come. Create an irresistible future to increase your motivation, and to do so, you need to clarify the details of your goals. A lot of people don't feel motivated enough to run after the goals. Sometimes this happens just because these people's goals are not exciting enough. If you create an irresistible future for yourself, you can be sure it's going to be much easier to start acting. Think about what is more motivating. Someone has the goal of opening a tiny shop in the neighborhood so they can earn some extra income and pay the bills, or someone else has the goal of opening a shop based on some innovative business that could create millions of profit and create 1,000 jobs. Your goals must be clear, straightforward, and full of details. Avoid goals like, I would like to be rich and like to have a nice body, I would like to have a nice relationship. How rich would you like to be? In how much time? How are you going to earn that money? Every goal has to be very detailed. Instead of saying, I'd like to have a nice body, write down, what does it mean? A nice body. How much are you going to weigh? What percentage of body fat do you want to have? What diet are you going to follow? What exercises are you going to do? It is not enough to simply set these goals. You should check your goals at least twice a day and think about ways of achieving those goals. This shouldn't be seen as a burden, but as a good thing. After all, you're going to be in permanent contact with your biggest dreams. You're going to be picturing an irresistible future. If this is becoming a burden, you're probably just focusing on the final objective of each goal, and you're forgetting about the journey, and this is a huge mistake. You should enjoy the journey towards your goal as much as the final goal itself. And when you start feeling like your goals are becoming a burden, it is because you're thinking under your old patterns of thought. These old patterns helped you to become the person that you are today, but they probably will not help you to become the person you want to become. You've got to take control of your life. Be clear about your feelings and values and rules and references. In order to take control of your life, you have to take control of your thoughts. Every time you see yourself having a negative thought, try to immediately change your emotional state towards a more positive one. A good way of changing your emotional state is verifying if your actions are aligned with your personal values. Personal values are things you value the most in your life. They work like a compass, guiding you through the path you want to go. You always feel a positive emotional state when you're walking towards something that you appreciate. Another good way of influencing your emotional state is creating empowering rules. Consciously or not, we all have some inner rules to define whether we are feeling good or not. What you should do is to create a clear idea about what these rules are and check if they're working in your favor. For example, if you would only allow yourself to be happy when you are in a good relationship, when you are in your ideal weight, or when you have money in the bank, you would be creating a complex rule, because it's very unlikely to see all those things aligned at the same time. So the best thing to do is to keep it simple. Learn how to see the bright side of the little things and create rules that make it easier for the positive emotions to come. Both your personal values and the rules you create are based on the references that you have. And this is why you should be very careful with the people you talk to, the people you follow on social media, and even the information that you consume. Try to expand and improve the quality of your references. Read better books, follow more interesting people, do whatever you can to improve the quality of the ideas that come into your mind. You could even make a reference list. You could list the characteristics that you would like to have, a list, and check who has those characteristics, and then start paying attention to what they do, what kind of friends do they have, what type of books do they read, what movies do they watch, what music do they listen to, what do they think about the different important areas in life. And by changing your references, you can establish a new identity that is based on the best version that you can be. You can shape your life, your new life, in 7 days. I invite you to start to develop a complete life plan so you can start now. The last part of the book, Awaken the Giant Within, is a 7-day challenge to shape your life by using everything you've learned here so far. The first day, you have to be clear about your emotional states. Write what strategies you're going to be using to take control of your emotions. Start to consciously and intentionally redesigning the way you're living your life. The second day is focused on your body. You have to establish how you're going to influence your body so it can produce the necessary energy levels and physical abilities to achieve your goals. What kind of a diet are you going to be having? What type of exercises do you need to do? How much are you going to be resting? The third day, we're going to focus on personal relationships. Make a strategy to substantially increase the quality of your relationships with the people you like. Deepen into your emotional connections with those people and then share with them your new lifestyle. The fourth day is dedicated to your finances. You should be clear about your current financial situation. What is your budget? Are you in debt? Are your investments doing okay? How much money do you need in order to have the life you want? How much do you have to save to achieve financial independence? On the fifth day, you have to write your code of conduct. Your code of conduct is the way you behave in order to have a life in line with your personal values and your empowering rules. The sixth day is dedicated to time control. In order to have everything you want to do, you need to spend a certain amount of time in the activities that will take you to the desired destination. You need to have an agenda, a schedule with time blocks dedicated to be doing the things you value. Because if you don't control your time, other people's agendas will control you. And on the seventh and last day of the challenge, you simply need to rest. You need to find balance between taking action to achieve your goals and recover your energies and always move forward. This type of leisure should not just be standing in front of the TV. You have to be spontaneous, be bold, do something different. Whatever it is, have fun. And if you liked all of this, stay with me here until the end because I have an invitation in case you want to have a complete life plan that includes everything that we talked about today. Awaken the Giant Within is a book that can make you feel motivated enough to take control of your whole life. If, besides motivation, you need to have a more practical strategy in order to achieve your goals, I invite you to check our Planning Your Life course. In the Planning Your Life course, you will learn how to create a life plan that covers from your highest personal values to the next realistic step you need to take in order to become the person you want to be. You can take a practical lesson now about personal values from this course by accessing arata.se/planning your life.